And welcome back to the Irish Report. As always, we are your hosts, Shane and Jason, taking you through a delightful recap of the previous week in Delt Fantasy Football, and looking ahead to next week. And if you notice the docile tones of the country, Jason has his back door open, letting those delightful cricket sounds tickle your ears.
Yep, that was the sound of the crowd watching Fat Guy in a Little End Zone this past week.
Yikes. So our lineup is going to be slightly different from last week. It is going to mainly stay the same, but I think this will probably be the more consistent format for the rest of the year. We are going to have an injury report to start the week, recapping our calls for week 1. And so we first go to our calls for full health, which would be the matchup of the week. I believe we both picked Points a Latte and Troll Toll. Am I correct? Which, I mean, to be fair, let's pat ourselves on the back first. We picked the right game. It was definitely the match of the week. Great game. Tight one all the way. At the same time, Yahoo AI also picked it as the
interestingly
game of the week. And so I feel less good anytime I'm aligned with AI.
Yeah. Well, I think what I would like to think is that since AI is just a giant gathering tool of stealing everyone's creations, our audio was scraped from the internet, and I believe it's merely stolen by Yahoo. So that's what I'm going to go with.
Definitely no other explanation.
You know, is that was on us. Yahoo merely doing what AI does best, stealing the ideas of actual humans.
100% agree. And so then that brings us to the headed for the blue tent. I had Chinese Waving Cats versus Mad Dogs. Who did you have?
Same,
yeah. And here's the thing. So if we're looking at this from like an accuracy perspective, it's not the worst game of the week, but it wasn't a good game.
No.
But for me, my worst game of the week switched over, and actually I guess that brings us into the blue tent, which is our first segment from last week, which was the worst game of the week. It was Ross and I. It was a bad game. I mean, Chuck was terrible, but at least Josh had a good week there, and so I don't want to take anything away from him putting that type of stink on him. Ross and I severely underperformed, and the only notes that I have from it is fall from grace for both Ross and I. So,
well, so far, I mean, again, 2 weeks in, it's a long season to go. I will say that I would say that was probably I thought about that before the final games. I was going to say that, but I am going to throw shade on Josh. I'm going to go with Super Bowls versus Fat Guy in a Little End Zone, merely because the Chuck scoring was so low that it was just a blowout. So I'm sorry, Josh, but Chuck drag you down on this one.
A new low score for the league this year.
Yep.
Thanks, Chuck.
That is correct.
All right, so that brings us into training staff checkup. Heroes and IR designees for the week, and we will start with the one that's at the top of my list, which is the Cardinals versus the Bare Naked Hades. Once again, getting the worst matchup of the week, which I've been part of 2 weeks in a row, out of the way, at least by my account.
I need to. One of my children is awake, so I got to pause.
Okay.
I'll stitch this back in the I'm gonna stop it and I'm gonna see what happens.
Okay, sounds good.
I'm afraid of what stopping it will do, but let's see.
So, so the hero in this game, I don't. There's not really a lot of question for who the hero was. He was last week's IR designee, and that would be Jamar Chase, just absolutely taking over and scoring over a third of my points. So pretty simple pick here.
Yeah. That's definitely an easy one for your. I mean, that's what you got him for.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely would say, looking at that, if I were to, taking the opposite side of that coin for this matchup, I mean, a couple of candidates. I mean, kind of feel like this might be the case more often than not, anyway. But Justin Fields comes to mind. When your quarterback gets 5 points, that's bad. I mean, probably would go with Trayvon. Trevion, didn't get a lot going there for the Pats, even when they scored, over 30 points. But it's going to be Fields for me. I mean, less pass yards than rush yards, and a fumble lost, and then getting knocked out of the game. It is rough.
Yeah, I mean, I had to go with also the guy who probably will be able to occupy an IR spot this week. Feels like just kind of low-hanging fruit based off of our format here.
Yep.
But also, too, I mean, like, you just kind of look at the game, losing by a little under 19. That's a competent day from Fields. And so I think if he stays in the game, I think that there's a chance that Ross wins. So I really think that you have to go with him.
Yeah. No, I mean, for sure. Most quarterbacks are going to get, on an average day, you hope, in, the 17 to 20, 21.
I agree.
Yeah. I think in the matchup I had chosen as worst of the week, if I'm looking at the your kind of the clear cut top guy there is almost 40 points. I'm going to go with Goff. I mean, it's hard to say because, again, the gap was so wide. Could pick a couple guys, maybe Cook, who you never really know what you're going to get with the Bills running backs. But Goff scoring almost 40, I mean, that was, about 2/3 of Chuck's, a little less than 2/3 of Chuck's total points from just one player for Josh. So,
well, and I went the same way, and I mean, like, these are probably two of my more boring hero picks. I've got some more exciting ones later on, but I just feel when a guy throws 5 touchdowns, it's kind of hard to keep him off your hero list.
Yep.
And I mean, the rest of Josh's team did fine. They were good. Yeah. I think the one disappointment there would have been Laporta, but I mean, like, it was fine, but Goff definitely propelled him to being, one of the top scorers.
Yeah, for sure.
And so for the IR designee for this particular game, my note says, "Is the whole team an option?" ? But seriously, I went with, I again did my normal cheating thing and chose 2. And I said Sutton and Jones. Cortland Sutton, Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones once again going to occupy a real IR spot.
Yep.
And
so he is.
Yeah, just bad.
Surprise. I was on the cusp of drafting Jones, and then I remembered having been burned before in this exact same manner. I think I'm not sure if I'm confused this with another league. I even traded him to Chuck, I think, in a previous year. And I said, not this time. So I said, I'm going to take Mason instead. And look what happened. Week 2, I got myself at least 1 week starting running back who has proven to perform in similar situations. Christian McCaffrey related situations. So, rough week for that guy in the little end zone. Real rough.
Very.
After a good first week. So, who knows what's going to happen? We got a lot of parity here outside of maybe the top 2, top 3. There's a lot of stuff GM'd in there, which, it's early.
Yep. Next, let's go to Chinese Waving Cats and Mad Dogs. So for the hero, for the Chinese Waving Cats, this one I decided I wanted to honor Ken. He loves him some tight ends.
He does.
He didn't hoard tight ends to start the season, but now he's picking up his stable and came up with a two tight end start here, and picked up Juwan Johnson off waivers last week, and was rewarded handsomely. And so I'm going to choose Juwan Johnson for the hero of the week for Ken.
Yeah, I mean, and this guy, especially like looking at the amount of targets he's had, like because that offense is bad. And he's got 20 targets for 2 weeks, which if you get that kind of volume, especially as a tight end in the red zone, things are going to happen. Young quarterbacks lean on the tight ends more often than not, and Ken being the tight end guru that he is, no one has their finger on the tight end like Ken. And he's proven it again this week. And I think if I'm looking at, we're going to go the opposite side of that coin, the IR designee. This is Derrick Henry for sure.
Yeah.
2 points in a 41 point scored. That is just crazy. I mean, I didn't really pay attention to that game, but just looking at that score, you think, oh, they got up and they ran the ball. Clearly, someone ran the ball, but it wasn't him. Hard to explain, in a game script type thing. I mean, my second place there, I almost went with Pacheco because last week I was also down on Pacheco. Don't believe in the guy. And here we had a close game where it would have mattered a lot more real football wise performance compared to Henry, and just nothing. Look at the 10 rushing attempts for 22 yards. In week 1, he had 5 for 25, and they had less targets and less catches this week. Just like bad news.
Yeah, I mean, I think,
real
especially
world.
If they keep losing like that, they're going to have to make a change and get something more exciting back there. It's not him, but I agree with you though. Derrick Henry is the easy pick, especially after he went off last week, and especially if you just looked at the score. You just said Derrick Henry had a massive game.
Yep. And he did not.
All right, so that brings us to your game, Clitankerous and Malcolm Death Squad.
Well, nothing interesting happened there with any of my players. Surely. But I will say this maybe. I'm gonna go IR designee first,
okay.
and there's a lot of personal pain behind this. It's gonna be Joe. Joe, what every, you know, first of all, I was not that I wouldn't have potentially drafted him, because obviously I think he would have been a good pick. Potentially peer pressured into this, some long game tomfoolery from Ross. I mean, it's possible. I doubt it, but do we know exactly where Ross was at the time where Joe Burrow's toe was injured? I mean, do we know of his whereabouts when the field was being prepped before the game? Do we know of his whereabouts in the locker room? Did he replace Burrow's shoes with? These are questions that need to be answered. And if I don't get to the bottom of them, then I'm sure someone will. But Burrow is easily the IR designee and the real world IR designee of the week for me.
Okay, so you're breaking format because you get the hero.
Well, I've been personally aggrieved by this.
You're going
and
two
I
IR
am
designees.
breaking the format.
I like it. I like it. Well, for me, your hero of the week is Tucker Kraft. Just
Indeed.
an absolutely monster performance. Anytime you're getting something like that out of a tight end, just huge. So I mean, like he balled out this week, and I think 2 touchdowns in 2 weeks, probably not sustainable, but the 7 targets you like this week. So, so very, very good week for Mr. Kraft there. So looking over at the IR designee in the appropriate time in the segment, for me, there's a lot of things or a lot of people on the team that you could choose, and even the low-hanging fruit of someone who's actually on IR. But I'm going to say for Clitankerous, it's Jalen Hurts. Something's wrong with that passing attack.
Yep.
And it's not like, it's not terrible. You get 14.5 points from your quarterback. You don't like see it, but it's not great or anything, but it's not like, panic mode. But what are we at now? We at 250 yards passing through 2 weeks.
It's bad.
For Jalen Hurts, and just like, I don't know, something. They won, so good for them, but something looks broken in Philly right now.
I think that's what you end up with sometimes with you end up with the quarterback who wins games, but fantasy wise is problematic. Or I would say more the defense won this game. I think with last week I said there's a lot of criticism of Hurts, or maybe in the preseason preview, like I thought Hurts was going to be big for Clitankerous, and I think he still will be, but he seems to. I have a friend who's an Eagles fan, so this is analysis that he's provided to me, mostly in defense of Hurts, but also kind of criticism at the same time, which is how most Philly fans work. Hurts will take the snap, do a couple reads, and then he's immediately looking to run versus sitting in the pocket. And that's how you end up with, that's how you end up with some of these stats. Like, he didn't rush for that many yards, so that wasn't that effective in this game. But he's not throwing the ball well right now, and that's affecting the receivers. We talked about Brown before. They have a new offensive coordinator, I believe. And whatever, he's just, whatever they're doing, it's not working. Is it play calling? Is it script of the game? Is it, just the way things go? I don't know. But 15 points out of Hurts when you only lose by 5 is problematic. This is a game that could have easily gone the other way. Like, look at some of these. I was going to go with it, if I were to disregard my bonus IR designee, I was going to go with Marvin Harrison Jr. For 2 catches and 27 yards. Again, a couple more catches, and he probably probably beats me, just from him. So, tight game, everything matters. Be it Hurts, be it Harrison, it's kind of how things go, especially when you're, if you look at some of these scores, bonus analysis, the wide receiver strategy is working well.
I agree. But I think that one of the big things, those
two guys are.
The tight end is going to be a spot that he's going to need to look. Because, I mean, Evan Ingram's fine, but this is what he is. He'll do like a 2.2 week, and then he'll come out for a 15, 20-point week, and then he'll be gone for another 3 weeks before showing back up and putting up points. So just not going to be consistency there from him until he finds something else.
Yeah, I mean, the scoring's been kind of weird so far. So there's some games he could have won with some letdown performances from a few people on his team. But fortunately for me, he wasn't playing those teams. He was playing me.
All right, so let's check out bottom of the barrel and draft day champion 3-peat.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what do I got for this one? Oh, this is another boring one as far as hero is concerned.
Yep.
Because when you catch 3 touchdowns, you're obligated to be the hero of.
Unanimous on this one.
Yeah, just easy, and I mean, Amon-Ra just seemed to just keep finding the end zone. So I don't think we have to do very much analysis on that. He's very good, and I mean, and the other thing too is that I will say, just as kind of some bonus analysis here, Ken's team was pretty good. I mean, Mark Andrews aside, they were solid. It was a solid performance by his guys.
Yep.
So,
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, Mark Andrews' issues are well known. Again, 41-point game, 1 catch, more rush, as many rush yards as receiving yards.
So that puts us in 2 games in which his team has scored 81 points.
Mm-hmm.
He has a total of 2 receptions for 7 yards and 1 2-yard rush, which gives him a total yard of 9 total yards.
I'm familiar with this.
In 81 points of
rough.
game. Yeah.
That is not what you want to see.
The IR designee is an easy one, but also I think has a silver lining for Pat, I believe, which is JJ McCarthy, who's going to be on the IR. We already talked about his problems and whether or not that was going to be a good thing for Pat this year. To be perfectly honest with you, I think anyone right now would be better than JJ. And so
gives him an out.
I think that
get him off the roster.
Well, but I also think it's good for Justin Jefferson. I think anybody else throwing to Justin Jefferson is going to be an upgrade. So, so yeah, I think that's an easy one. Because again, Pat's team wasn't bad. It was it was solid performance.
I mean, again, if you add another 15 on that from say a 20-point quarterback performance, and a little less, and still tough, closer.
Yeah, still a win, but still, I mean, it was a solid performance. It's nothing to hang your head on. Those types of games are going to happen.
I mean, not that you're looking at his bench. Not that anyone would have done this, I guess, but Wan'Dale Robinson over DJ Moore. I don't think anyone would have done that. But
I think Keenan sneaking in there, though. Could have happened. I
agree. I knew every time he plays the Raiders, he always catches a touchdown. He always catches a bunch of balls, or at least several. Even though he's old and slow.
But I mean, again, as we've been talking about all night so far, 17 targets over 2 games.
Is getting the ball. That's what he does.
Yeah. So, all right, that brings us to our final game of the night. the top game of the week. Points a latte, and I believe we're not saying the half calf anymore. I believe that.
I believe we've been given the go ahead to condense this.
So points a latte versus the
latte.
troll tolls.
Two juggernauts.
Yeah, what a game.
Yeah, I mean, hard to pick. You kind of just have to kind of go with, the kind of the obvious ones. I mean, look at some of these totals. Like, you had two position players outscore quarterback for Ray, which it doesn't usually happen. You had over on Brian's side, you had three guys in the 20s, and 4 guys in the 20s.
4 guys, yeah,
and losing by 5. So who's your? What are we? I've lost track now. I'm still mad about Joe Burrow.
We're going with Hero right now.
We're going with Hero first. All right, and Hero.
I've got an interesting hero for you. And again, because this is such a tight game, I think this is when it comes down to the margins, right? And last week, when I said this was going to be the matchup of the week, one of my criticisms of Ray's team was the tight end position. I said he needed one. He needed a tight end. And so I'm gonna pick Harold Fannin Jr. as his hero of the week because he went out, he found a guy. Now again, he didn't like go bonkers or anything, but 5 for 48, very respectable, and came up big for him. And that's the difference. That's the difference in the game. If he gets a guy who only scores a couple or whatever, picks up a random tight end that doesn't perform, which happens all the time when people are chasing tight ends. So it was a huge pickup, and definitely his hero of the week.
Yep. Yeah, I think that is definitely, if you're looking at, every other player did what you'd expect. I never heard the name Harold Fannin Jr. until I saw Ray pick him up. So, great name though.
Yep,
Harold Fannin Jr. Will there be a Harold Fannin III? The world can only hope.
That's right.
So IR designee, not just going to go with the lowest points. I think the Jets and Breece Hall had a tough time against the Bills, but I'm not surprised by that. I'm going to go with, having watched many games of the Raiders get torched in the secondary, I'm going to go with McConkey. 5 catches, 48 yards, fine, but no scores. I think he might have almost broke out. Maybe for I think there might have been a catch where he got maybe tackled late, or maybe, I don't know, something where he was close to like breaking one, which would have been the difference. So I think, again, a game of inches, McConkey against the Raiders' questionable secondary, in a game where the Chargers always play the Raiders tough. If he could have got a little bit more, and the Troll Tolls could have taken it, but in this case, not quite enough scoring took a toll on the Troll Tolls.
So I also picked Lab McConkey. And not just because the symmetry of the hero and the IR designee was kind of a beautiful thing, where both of them had 5 receptions for 48 yards.
Yep.
Which is just wonderful.
Is.
But again, that's Brian's second round pick. Ray gets 5 for 48 on a waiver pickup that no one was thinking about.
Nope.
Well, not no one was thinking about, but
Ray
that was well, at least that Jason wasn't thinking about.
Okay.
Whereas Ladd, cost him a second round pick, and he needed a little bit more out of him, and that was the difference in the game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, so that brings us to, we can put week 2 in the rear view, where we now have a whole bunch of teams at 1-1. What do we have? 2 teams at 0-2, right? Or 1 team? 2 teams at 0-2.
2 teams. Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah,
2 teams that have
2-0s.
5 or 6 championships between the two of them.
Yeah. Interestingly,
and then 2-0 teams who have zero championships between the two of them, I believe.
Yep.
And then the rest of the league just fighting. And I mean, obviously, that's the Yahoo standings. I haven't. Yeah. I don't know if I've seen the updated standings.
I think they haven't come out yet. I think maybe last time Chuck put them out on Wednesday. Also, I do know. I think I calculated it properly that I was counting down and seeing if I would get that second point. I believe I counted correctly. That I do.
Let's see.
I think the
2, 3, 4. I think you're the 5th.
I think I'm the 5th.
Yeah.
And then the 6th was a 117. Was
Ken?
Ken, who just edged out Clitankers. So he went from salvaging a point to nothing. Thanks to Ken's tight end gambit.
Yeah. Game of inches.
Yep.
All right, so we're now on to full health matchup of the week. I gotta say, going through the matchups, I didn't see a clear cut matchup of the week.
Yeah.
I definitely kind of made some kind of arguments for each one. Kind of looked here and there, but I decided to stick with at least one piece of the matchup of the week from last week as a mainstay. And so Troll Tolls are going to be once again in the matchup of the week against Clitankerous. I mean, this is 2 high scoring teams. This is 2 teams that have incredible wide receiver rooms, and Troll Tolls slowly is building up a running back room that people are a little jealous of, I think, surprisingly. So got a lot of value there, and I think this is going to be the matchup of the week.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the question there for me would be, you got your all Denver running back room. I don't know. I mean, Dobbins has been good. Dobbins has been what you want, but from there, I don't know.
Well, I almost think it's like he's just punting on running back, and so he's going to have the Denver running back points. Yeah. And so at least he has it could be either one of them. And so he's just basically taking a 0 on the second.
I mean, it's he almost has 2 wins. I mean, first week was great for him. I mean, I guess, and again, when I mentioned earlier, if he had his receivers he's got 3 wide receiver ones on his team.
4.
You could say really it's. You could say fantasy wise, I don't know.
He's the one.
Technically, I think people who have him and are counting on him like to think that he's the one.
That's fair.
But you can offset if you get that, and I think maybe unknowingly, being able to focus wide receiver without really knowing how much of an absolute love people have for running backs in this league has paid off and will continue to pay off.
All right. Do you have a different full health matchup of the week?
I do actually. I'm going with a sort of breaking point / redemption type theme here, and I'm going with Bare Naked Hitties versus Fat Guy in the end zone. I want to see, can Chuck come back from that rough week 2, forgettable week 2? Can he put that in the rear view, or on the other side of that, if he does, will Ross go to 0-3? Or can Ross get that first win? and I was looking at some of the matchups, and Chuck's players got some rough matchups, at least on paper. You never really know how those things are going to pan out this early in the season. Everyone thought Denver's defense was great, and then it wasn't. At least in week 2. But looking at, I think there will be obviously Ross in the market for quarterback, most likely. Join the club. At least 3 of us are in the same boat, so that should be interesting to see how that plays out. Who goes for who? But I think looking at the matchups, I think Henderson will have for the Pats will have his first big game against the Steelers, who I think are just bad. I think Walker against the Saints, that could be a big one. Igbuka has been outrageous, probably continue to be. So will there be that plus competent performances for Ross from some of the fill-ins he's going to have to get in there? I'm looking to see which one of these guys is going to get either back on the right track or get on the right track for the first time this season. And I think if I were to choose, I think Ross does not go 0-3. I think he makes a savvy quarterback pickup. Hopefully not the pickups that I'm picking up, and pulls out his first win.
So that brings us to headed for the blue tent, which normally I'd let you pick yours first, but I think in the interest of symmetry, I need to tell you what my pick is for the worst matchup of the week, and this matchup goes to 2. So of the 3 lowest scoring teams last week, 2 of them are in this matchup, and that would be Bare Naked Hades and Fat Guy in a Little End Zone. I think this is quite the opposite of what Jason is thinking.
Side.
I think that both of them need the wins. I think this is going to be an ugly one to watch to see who does get the win. I think Ross somehow chose every underperforming player, and I don't think it gets better this week. I'm not saying that his team won't eventually be a good team or anything like that, but I haven't seen it. And with Chase Brown now not having Joe Burrow, what does that do? And I'm not saying it's going to necessarily be bad, but what does that do? Trevion Henderson, I don't think is actually going to take over this backfield right now. I think that, again, Mike Vrabel is a guy who likes his veterans. He's never been a rookie guy. So, I think you have to question that. And there's some good pieces there, but Nico hasn't kind of been that dominant taking over.
Stroud's been pretty bad.
And then Ross gets to play, quarterback roulette. And then on the other side, how can Chuck not be in the worst match of the week after coming in with the point total that he did? Now, you could say he could revert to the mean, and he obviously he can't have, right? He can't have as bad of a week again, right, Chuck? I don't know. So
probably not.
But I also did write in my notes, very similar to what you said. What happens if Ross loses? What type of just burn it down, Bryan Adams,
There will be trades. He already has said as much. There will be trades. There will be fiery speeches from the pulpit in the post game.
Which is interesting too, because again, early in the season, but with draft picks, when we last had the ability to trade draft picks, I think they happened a lot quicker. Everyone was really excited about it, and this time everyone's been really content to see how the first few weeks play out before going to their draft capital. Well,
I do not feel confident in my own ability to make good trades. So that's my I know early in the season, but that's my fear is when I see that first notification that I have a trade request or a trade proposal from you or Brian or Ross, and I say to myself, is this another year where I dupe myself into being on the receiving end of a bad trade? Or do I just do nothing? So, I mean, the last couple of years, I really had some issues with players early on, injuries that put me in a hole of desperation. We haven't really had, well, I mean, Burrow's bad, but you got some quarterbacks on the waiver wire that are performing,
Right.
and they seem to be just chucking the ball a lot, and or there's some interesting stuff out there. It's not like a devastating like running back or wide receiver injury. Eckler tearing his Achilles is not a devastating injury, although when you have a thin running back room, it is.
For Austin, it is too.
So I mean, obviously personally for us. So I don't know. I mean, the trade should be interesting. I know Ross is always out there. He's got Fantasy Pros on his 72 screen grid, Dark Knight style bunker that he has on the third floor of his apartment that he says there's nothing up there. Well, it's the Fantasy Pros floor, and he's cooking up trades as we speak, I am sure, especially if this week does not go well for him.
And do you have a headed for the blue tent?
Yeah. So looking through, I mean, obviously not picking some of the worst scoring teams from before. It's kind of looking at what game just kind of seems like it might be, kind of either like over before it starts. And I think that I'm going with, and this is again no similar earlier where you had no disrespect to Josh, and this is no disrespect to Ray. I'm going with Points a Latte versus Chinese Waving Cats. I think that's going to be this week's just following after last week. That's going to be this week's Fat Guy versus Super Bowels. Ken's going to have a rough time. I think Ray is going to do really well. I mean, again, you got some potential questionable matchups, but then you got some real good ones, or at least the potential for some real good ones. Ken does too, but I think he's got, looking at his roster, he has Worthy slotted in for week 3. Like, he's depending on him, and even if he were there, I don't know. The way the Chiefs look, I don't know. I think he's gonna have a letdown, and Ray is gonna perform like he has been, and it's gonna be a big gap here in points. So I'm going Waving Cats versus Points a Latte for the blowout game of the week in the blue tent.
When do you think it is that we get 3 starting tight ends from Ken this year? Is it before week 6 or after?
I was going to say week 5, but I think that's going to be like, I'm kind of looking through and seeing which player, who's it going to be that gets kicked out in that second flex. He said Kincaid in there reliably. Juwan Johnson he's going to ride with now, of course. Which receiver or whoever is going to be kicked out? And it's thin now.
If he's playing by the rules that Ross teaches us to play by, Palmer should be in the number 2 wide receiver spot, and Worthy should be down in there, and then Worthy would get bumped
Thursday
out.
versus Sunday.
Right. Mm-hmm. Worthy would get bumped out for Chigakonkwo. I actually think that there's a possibility this week.
I mean, I guess we will find out by Thursday. Most likely. And it could be as early as week 3. And I'll feel even more satisfied about my projection here if that's the case.
All right, so that brings us to our last segment, which we're going to call the injury update. So these will be the pickups of the week. I I will tell you, I steered away from quarterbacks. I know that all of you who are struggling and have lots of injuries and need a quarterback are going to be focused there. But I stayed focused on the wide receiver, running back, tight ends. And so I have three that I wouldn't be surprised are not in free agency come tomorrow morning when waivers hit. The first one would be Zach Ertz.
Yeah.
Not an exciting pick at all. I mean, he's got a couple touchdowns. Touchdowns are fluky, but he's definitely part of that offense. Daniels looks for him. He still has kind of the size. He still has the hands. I think he's a reliable source of points. Probably not what he's been putting up, but I can see, kind of just a solid 5-6 points. And when you're struggling and looking for something at tight end, he might be a good fit for someone.
Yeah, I mean, before I get into the quarterbacks, my pick's going to be maybe a little bit more of a dart throw. Ex-Raider Hunter Renfrow, Panthers, went through horrible health issues. It was like ulcerative colitis or something like that. Like, he's already a little guy and he lost like 20 pounds and it seemed awful. And fully back and, basically like working for a spot on the team. It's returning camp, very quiet week 1, but then 24 points week 2. And he's a guy, I mean, that first year with the Raiders, he was your shifty slot guy, a lot of catches, not great. He's quick, not fast, but like he's out there, he's making plays. And in an offense that's not great, I feel like those are the guys to get the ball like underneath. And I mean, Panthers, again, Bryce Young is better than he was when he first came in, and it seemed like he was a total bust. I'll go with Renfrow. If you're looking for some, you're definitely not a guy you want to count on as like slotting in immediately as a wide receiver, but someone that you feel like is not a total waste on the bench.
I'm going to stay with with kind of the more projection picking, and maybe he's not going to be in your lineup next week, but could carve out a role and be something. And go with Malik Washington. This has been around a lot of different fantasy football sites and podcasts and things like that. But the possibility that Tyreek gets traded is sort of increasing with every Dolphins loss. His value is still at least a little bit there, and if they could get something back for him, now might be the time to be looking at doing that. And if that happens, Malik Washington is kind of the 1-for-1 replacement to Tyreek Hill. He's fast. We saw that on Sunday when he ran back the kickoff for a touchdown. He's someone to keep an eye on and maybe someone to stash.
Yeah, I would go with my second pick. Oh, where did he go? I had it here. Another wide receiver. Troy Franklin, Broncos. Looks like he's the clear cut, maybe like second to Sutton. And they're looking ahead. Their schedule looks pretty nice for teams against the pass. Bengals, it's got the Chargers, Bengals, Eagles, Jets, but then Giants, Cowboys, Texans, Raiders. Like, it's good. I mean, this he's 6 targets, 9 targets. He's getting the ball. Knicks is pretty good. I mean, I feel like you could do a lot worse than a guy like that, especially early in the season. I think he's a second year as well, like that second year wide receiver jump. These are the kind of guys that if you don't snatch them up now, than you wished you had, or someone else already has. So, for everyone listening to this after the waivers have gone through, if he's still there, which I bet he won't be, then go get him.
My final guy is probably low hanging fruit, but still, it's one of those guys that you look at. Definitely a lottery pick, but definitely has a chance to be a number one wide receiver. Definitely has a chance to be, to grow with his new quarterback. Is and I'm going to pronounce this incorrectly, but it's Elik Ayamenor, who's the Titans wide receiver. And just with Cam Ward being a new quarterback, in the league, he's looking for his number one. He's developing the chemistry, and this guy has 13 targets in 2 games. Had a pretty good game on Sunday. So I just think that, if you're kind of looking for someone who's going to develop into their team's number one wide receiver, that's a guy that's possible.
Yeah. I think that seems those are the kind of guys you want to look for. The guys that are comfortably getting the ball, especially from the rookie guys. They tend to they get their guys and they latch onto them. Like last year was leading to my next pick. I actually have a tie. Last year you had Drake May throwing to Hunter Henry. It's just like they were like glue. Like he was this guy. So my last my co third picks, 2 quarterbacks, Drake May, and this pains me to say, Daniel Jones, who, I mean, as we know, the Giants are bad at utilizing players, and they seem to take potentially good players and make them bad players. Jones with the Colts, he's been throwing the ball. He's been running a few running touchdowns, throwing the ball. Like, I don't think they're very good, but that doesn't mean that he's not going to be scoring the points. And then, Drake May on the ground, in the air, more of a wild card for me. But I think that he is one of those 2 guys. Is going to be a guy that you can say, I think their floor is good enough. As long as the rest of your team's producing.
Nope, I think those are good picks. I think for me, I'd go with Daniel Jones over Drake May right now. I just think that I like Steichen's offense, and I like what he does to quarterbacks. So, yeah. So I think that pretty much wraps it up for us here. Good luck, everyone, this week, I suppose. And any parting words, Jason, before you go to your duties?
No, I mean, I think that I'm looking forward to winning back-to-back games. And I hope that you also can work off your momentum here. I'm saying it may be a matchup of Pat and I is a matchup of replacement quarterbacks. So let's see who chooses wisely and who feels like they made the wrong choice, most likely. Or maybe we both made a terrible choice and we both will regret. That's probably more likely.
All right. Well, good luck, everyone. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.